Hello guys, how are you year 4? I hope you all are doing good at your homes. Today we're going to finish our lesson, our fourth lesson. But before starting today's lesson, I just want to tell you that all of you did very well in the assignments. But I would love, after finishing this lesson, to make like a little wrap up if you are still confused about some of the definitions that we learned about in this lesson, such as of course the weight and the mass and the types of scales. Today we're going to finish the lesson. Tomorrow I'm going to upload a video which I will be doing many of the experiments that will show you the difference between all the definitions or all the different definitions that we learned about in this lesson. So don't worry about it. I will not let you just go without understanding anything. We will be revising everything, we will be wrapping up everything, and we will be seeing some activities that I will do here at my home so that it would help you guys to understand more the definitions of this lesson. And after that I will be answering the homework. I will be correcting the homework with you in another video. So let's start with today's lesson, guys. Today we're going to talk about the forces related to water. Actually, water is one of the very strong forces in nature. Sometimes we even use water to produce electricity. But this is not our topic today. Today we're going to talk about specific type of forces that water is responsible for. Water exerts forces on any object and there are two types of force that we're going to talk about today. The first type is a very famous type, which is called the upthrust force, and the upthrust force is a force that pushes things up. So you would experience such a thing if you are standing in a pool or in the sea, or maybe just filling a bathtub with water, and then you try to sink a toy or anything into this water. You will find the water is resisting this force, the force that you try to push the things into the water with. You will find it pushing back to you. So if you try, for example, to push a duck toy in the bathtub, you will find it pushing back against you. You'll find the water pushing it back. This is called the upthrust force. So it's a force that pushes things up. That's why we float in water. You can feel it when you hold down a floating object, as I told you. The second type of force that water is responsible for is the water resistance. So actually, as I told you, water is a type of force that is very strong. So if you are trying to walk at the beginning of the beach, when you try to get deep into the sea, you will find it a little bit difficult to walk against the water. It's also very difficult to swim through the swimming pool or the sea. That's because the water is trying to resist your movement. It tries to push back your movement. So what are the differences between water resistance and the upthrust? Of course, this is a question that is going to occur into your mind. Upthrust is derived from its name. It's the water resistant upwards, so it pushes things up. It's all about directions, guys. So when it pushes things up, it's called upthrust force, but water resistance is mainly in the same direction of water. So it's if you're walking through water and it pushes back to you, this is what it's called water resistant. And as you can see in this picture, guys, just let me bring my laser pointer. And yeah, if you saw this, this is supposed to be a bullet coming out of the gun. It's supposed to be really fast, but due to the water resistance, the water is pushing back against the bullet, and that's what makes it slows down. So when walking or swimming through the sea or swimming pool, you will feel that water is pushing you back. What are the differences between water resistance and upthrust? Upthrust, the water pushes you up, while the water resistance, the water is pushing you back. So how can ships overcome this problem? If there is a ship that is trying to sail in the sea and it's really huge or it's really wide, a lot of water will start to hit back the boat, and this will slow the boat down. And that's why engineers found out that they can design a specific shape for the ships that could help it move easily in the water. This shape is called the streamlined shape. The streamlined shape is actually making the boat as narrow as possible. What's the meaning of narrow? It means as thin as possible at the front of the ship, so that no water can hit. The amount of water that will hit the boat back will be very little, because there is no much space in the boat to be hit back by water. It's actually very thin at the front, and that will make water go around it, not against it. So this is what's called a streamlined ship. And actually this is this could be taken from certain types of animals, such as the penguins. We learned about the penguins at the beginning of the first trimester, and we knew that the penguins have streamlined body that help them move easily and swim through water. Why? Because it will not allow much water to hit against their body and slow them down. So a streamlined ship, as I told you, that has a narrow shape produces low resistance, because the amount of water pushing against it is relatively small. Now this is a small classwork that we're going to answer together. Some designers are working on a racing boat. These two designs have the same weight, so both of them are exactly the same weight. Which design will be faster, and explain your answer? I need you to look at the design of each one. This is more wide and this is more narrow. It's actually not that wide. So if this boat is sailing in the sea, you will find that there is a lot of area in this boat that the water will start to hit back and slow down the boat. While in design B, you will find it really narrow, that the water will not really hit it as much as this one. It will start to go around it. The water will start to go around it, and this will produce less resistance. So I think I gave you the answers, guys, but I will let you explain your answer for a minute, and then I will give you the answer right now. So as we said, which design will be faster? Of course it's design B. And why? Because of its streamlined shape, which will produce low resistance. we cannot be talking about water resistance without talking about air resistance. Air also is a very strong type of force. And air resistance is also the type of resistance that pushes back against any object. So, if you saw here, guys, in those two examples, if you are inside a car and one of your parents is driving slowly and with slow speed, the amount of air that is trying to resist the movement of the car, or the kind of air that is hitting against the car, is not that big. So that's why we say if there is small forward speed, you will find small air resistance. But if your parent starts to speed up and drive with larger speed, so he or she, of course, is making a larger forward speed, the amount of air hitting against the car will be much bigger, and that's why it will produce a large air resistance. Sometimes air resistance is very useful, such as in the cases of free falls or using a parachute to get out of a plane, for example. So how does that work? Actually, when the parachute opens up, the hole, or the hollow place inside the parachute, downwards the parachute, acts like an object that the air will start to fill up. And this what we mean by air resistance. The air starts to push back the object, not allowing it to fall down. And in this case, the air is working against the force of gravity. We all know that the force of gravity is trying to pull us or pull any object down. The air resistance is acting against it. It is pushing any object against the force of gravity. So air resistance can be very useful. It will the push of the air on a parachute slows the fall of the object. So this is a worksheet that you will it's found in your resource pack, page 21. I'm going to upload it for you guys. Worksheet 15. Let's first read the background knowledge. Gravity is a pulling force. Of course we know this. It pulls objects toward Earth. Air resistance is a pushing force. It is a source of friction because it opposes motion. So if you remember at the the last session, we were talking about friction, and we said that it's a type of force found between two objects rubbing against each other. In this case, in the case of air resistance, the two objects is the parachute and the air. They are trying to push against each other, or they are rubbing against each other, and this what opposes motion. When parachutes fall to earth, air resistance pushes against them. The fabric of a parachute has a lot of surface on which air can push. So this is the fabric of the parachute, and there is a lot of surface that the air can push back. The effect of this force is to slow the parachute down. The larger the parachute, again, the larger the parachute, the slower it will fall, because there is more air resistance. Of course, if the parachute is really large, a lot of air will have too much area to hit against the parachute. But if there is a smaller parachute, air will find just small surface to hit against it, and this will make the resistance lower. So the science activity: examine the drawing of two people jumping with parachutes. We have those two people trying to jump with parachutes. Which person will fall to earth faster? I will give you a second to think about it and then explain your answer, guys. I hope you all got it right. It's the person with the smaller parachute, of course. This one will fall faster to the ground. Why? Because the air resistance will be lower. He has a smaller parachute. There is no much surface that the air can resist its falling. The air will not hit much of a space, and this will make the air resistance force small, and the gravity force will be much bigger, and this will pull him down faster. The second question is: describe all of the forces acting on the parachute. Make sure to state the direction of the forces. We learned that we have two types of force acting on the parachute. One is pushing upwards, and the other is pulling downwards. I will give you a second to think about it and answer this one. You were right, guys. The force of course is pulling it downwards, while the force of air resistance is pushing it upwards. Great. So I want you guys to do a little science activity at your homes. It's really simple and fun, and you will learn or you will make an application on the things that we learned today. Actually, it will be lots of fun. The first activity is trying to make a homemade parachute with the simplest stuff at your houses. A plastic bag, and you have to just tie it up with two pieces of ribbons or threads, whatever you have at your house to tie into the plastic bag. And just I want you to tie those two threads with any object, one of your little toys, a piece of rock, whatever you want, and just try to make it fly from a higher place, like a counter or your desk or whatever. And I want you to tell me and try different sizes of plastic bags. Try a smaller plastic bag, try a wider or larger plastic bag, and tell me, will it make a difference or not. I want you to take a picture of the activity you will do. I am going to make a link in the Google Classroom, like an assignment but ungraded, so that you can upload the pictures of your activity on them, and I'm going to do it 2, and I'm going to upload it with the video that I'm going to upload the rest of the activities with, and I'm going to upload the pictures too in the assignment. And the second activity is trying the force of upthrust by filling a large bowl with water and putting a smaller one inside, an empty one inside, and try to, with your finger, to push in the small ball and watch the water pushing it back to you. Try to push it with different forces and see will it push back or not, but remember to make it empty, not filled. Now those are your science activity. I'm going to make the assignment on the Google Classroom so you can easily upload all the pictures of your science activity. This is, guys, is your homework. It's ungraded, but I just find that or thought that I will give you a homework, different type of homework this time, a little fun one, and next time, as I told you guys, I'm going to make like a wrap up with all the activities that will make you take a complete image or photo or picture of the things that you learned in this lesson. Have a nice time, guys. I hope you understand today's lesson, and see you next time, inshallah. Bye bye.